Morning. I offer this morning's scripture, Joshua 4th chapter, 1st through 7th verse. Can you hear me? I don't know why not. How's that? Oh, yeah. Now I can hear me. Okay. When the entire nation had finished crossing over the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, "Select 12 men from the people, one from each tribe, and command them, take 12 stones from here out of the middle of the Jordan, from the place where the priest's feet stood. Carry them over with you and lay them down in the place where you camp tonight." Then Joshua summoned the 12 men from the Israelites, whom he had appointed, one from each tribe. Joshua said to them, "Pass on before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan, and each of you take up a stone on his shoulder, one for each of the tribes of the Israelites. So this may be a sign among you. When your children ask in time to come, 'What do these stones mean to you?' then you shall tell them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off in front of the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. So these stones shall be to the Israelites a memorial forever."
These are the words of God for the people of God.
Thanks be to God.
And each of you is also a word of God for the people of God. And I invite you to stand as you're able and greet one another with words of welcome and
peace. Completely. I've still got a little ways to go.
I'm really proud of it.
Okay, let's
Surely you know that.
And then back once through the corner, the head. Memories like the corners of my mind, misty watercolor memories of the way we were.
When I was a kid growing up in southern Ohio, this weekend held a lot of power. Memorial Day weekend. There was an excitement about it. It signaled the beginning of summer. School was out. The days of freedom and play flowed out before us like an enormous gift. No more schedules to follow, no more homework, no more going to bed early and getting up early. Only the humid, hot, lazy days of summer unfolding upon themselves. I see memory written on your faces, some of your faces. This beginning, this weekend, was always marked by a gathering of families, a parade even, and visits to several cemeteries for what was then called Decoration Day, the day when people traveled to the graves of their loved ones, both those who had served in the military and others who had not, to decorate the graves with flags and flowers. In an odd sort of way, it always seemed a bit of a party with a serious undercurrent. Something children often feel but can't put into words. This national holiday that begins our summer actually began in 1868 and was established as a time for the nation to decorate the graves of the war dead with flowers. It's different than Veterans Day because its purpose really was to celebrate and honor those who had been killed in the line of service. The preferred name for the holiday gradually changed from Decoration Day to Memorial Day, which was first used in 1882. Memorial Day did not become the more common name until after World War II and was not declared the official name by federal law until 1967. Thank you, Wikipedia. On June 28, 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which moved 4 holidays, including Memorial Day, from their traditional dates. Remember, this day used to be May 30th, no matter what day it fell on, to a specified Monday in order to create a convenient 3-day weekend. The change moved Memorial Day from its traditional May 30th date to the last Monday in May. The law took effect at the federal level in 1971. After some initial confusion and unwillingness to comply, all 50 states adopted Congress's change of date within a few years. The things we can argue about, right? Many of you probably have memories of Memorial Days from childhood and youth. Some of my most vivid memories of this holiday came from living in a small town and being in the marching band. We would gather to march through the town with the destination of the cemetery where many of my relatives were buried. We were led in parade by those in military uniforms, people I often saw on the street, but who became someone else when in the dress of green, blue, gray, or white, depending on their branch of service. I knew even then that they held a common bond that I would never understand or share. I understood the respect asked of me while feeling a kind of internal unrest for how I understood war and peace and a political climate that was often complicated and confusing to a young person. I remember marching in those parades during the turbulent 60s at the height of the Vietnam War and trying to make sense of it all. Standing as taps were played and hearing the sound of that far-off echo, played often by one of my friends, seared through me. I knew, in the presence of a powerful, powerful ritual, one that called on something deeper than any sound, sight, or feeling I was able to name. While this holiday has its identity in the soil of our common national life, we cannot deny that as people of faith, the practice of creating, building, and honoring memory is at the core of who we are. Joshua, having crossed the Jordan into a new land, into a new way of becoming God's people, gathers the people and asks them to create a memorial so that they might remember their journey together, their shared identity, and the presence of the Holy One that traveled with them. The 12 take the stones and build a memorial to mark their story, not only for that moment, but to be the reminder for the generations to come. When your children ask in time to come, "What do these stones mean to you?" says Joshua. The stones become the catalyst to continue to live out a recognition and an honoring of God's movement in their life and their life's journey. Later on, in the vast scope of our faith story, another 12 gather to remind one another who they have been, who they are, and to stand in the hope of who they will become, to build a memorial of their very lives. Take, eat, remember. Take, drink, remember, says Jesus. This memorial meal stands at the center of who we are as those who follow in the way of Jesus, and asks us to continue when the children ask in times to come, "What does this meal mean to you?" to tell the story, to remind and remember, to continue to hold in memory and in living the power and presence we experience in sharing. Memorial Day. The beginning of summer, yes. The making of a change of season, yes. The time to honor those who have served our country with their very lives, yes. And the opportunity to reflect upon what it is we name and honor and hold in memory individually and as a community. As humans, we build memorials to people and to times in history all the time. Sometimes we are even aware of it. We also build memorials of memory to places we have held dear, places that have shaped us and changed us and shown us the face of God. Several of those places come to mind for me, as I am sure they do for you. Memorial Day is, I believe, the invitation to stop and to look within for the people and the places and the life experiences we want to continue to hold as an important part of our sacred story. When we set aside this time of memory, we stop the flow of Chronos time, time we can measure with a clock and a calendar, and enter into Kairos time, time that is held in the gentle flow of the movement of the holy. And so, I invite you now to spend a few moments in silence. Who or what or where is it you want to hold in memory this day? What memory do you want to carry forward, to pass on to the next generation, to those who will continue to tell your story, our story, so that they will know what is important, valued, honored, where you have experienced the presence of the one who breathed you into being. I'm going to invite you to that silence, and then music will begin, and then you can come up here and light a candle. Light a candle as a way of marking that memory. I will say that there may not be enough candles for everyone here, so relight the flame of another candle, because that's what we do all the time anyway, isn't it? So let's take a few moments to reflect on how it is that you want to hold this memorial time.